The Unending track. An audio story by Mahesh Ravi. It was early morning, the kind of pale, grey morning that still held onto the night like a frightened child clutching a blanket. A boy was walking, not quite a child, not quite a man. A wiry, wide-eyed figure with a rucksack slung over one shoulder and socks that were too high for his shoes. He had the look of someone returning from a long journey. Shoes muddy, shoulders weary, eyes too wide open for the hour. The road he took was old and unused, the sort of winding country path that mothers warned you about with a whispered shake of the head. Trees leaned in, muttering secrets to each other in the early breeze. The dew smelled like moss and motor oil, and from somewhere far off came the faint echo of a train horn, long, low and mournful. He knew these parts. It's his hometown, Changano. He'd once cycled these roads. He remembered their humps and bumps, their foxholes and fungal smells. But something felt off. The birds weren't singing. The shadows were too long. Ahead lay a level crossing, its red and white barrier lazily lowered, cutting the road like a guillotine blade. Beyond it, far off, a train, the morning express, was wailing its melancholy song as it came around the bend, angry and fast. That's when he saw it. A little bus, no more than a tin can on wheels, was inching forward, wobbling as it dared to challenge the railway gate. It was painted green once, now streaked with rust and bad decisions. The driver, a man with a moustache too large for his face, wore a crooked smile, the sort that said he had once been lucky and decided to make a habit of it. "No," the boy muttered. The bus rolled forward. Number no. The train came screaming. What followed was not an accident. It was an unraveling of reality, a howling, grinding, metallic ballet of destruction. The train struck the rear of the bus, not a collision, but a detonation. The impact cracked the air. Screams rose, not from the mouths of the passengers, but from the earth, the trees, the very air. The train's compartments began to leap off the rails one by one, like giant metallic insects flinging themselves into the abyss. Down a wooded slope they tumbled, breaking trees like twigs, twisting into grotesque shapes. He saw people inside, little faces plastered to windows, eyes wide and unblinking, mouths open in silent horror as their carriages toppled like dominoes into the void. He saw limbs, or what looked like limbs, reaching out from between the broken steel bones. He turned to run, but running did no good. The disaster had a gravity of its own, a psychic pull. However fast he ran, he remained tethered to the scene, like an ant stuck to a spinning coin. Lights flickered on in houses nearby, and people began to pour out, barefoot, robe-clad villagers with pots and torches, their faces pale and hollow, their eyes reflecting the fire of human suffering. He kept running. He wanted only one thing: his room, the narrow bed, the dusty fan, the crooked window with the curtain that flapped like a lazy ghost. The idea of that room became a beacon, a warm cave in the chaos of the waking world. Then, rain. Thick, oily drops, falling in slow motion, each one slapping the ground with a sound like distant applause. It was then he saw the temple, a squat stone place with cracked idols and faded marigold garlands hanging like forgotten promises. He pushed the creaky door open. Inside, it was dry, peaceful, too peaceful. The priests hadn't heard the crash. The devotees were still bowing to their gods with sleepy serenity. Bells rang, not in alarm, but in habit. Then the news came, a whisper at first, then a rustle. Then, like a tide, the word passed. The train, the bus, so many dead. And still, he could not move. He had no courage left. Fear had eaten it all. All he had was a shell of self, and an image in his mind of a room, locked, dark, safe. A room with no windows. A room with no sound. But as he turned to leave, something odd happened. The temple bells began to chime in a strange rhythm. The floor beneath him wobbled. The idols turned their heads toward him. All at once, their painted eyes blinked, and from their stone lips came a whisper. You did not run. You were never running. He looked down. His feet had not moved. He was still at the crossing. The bus had not yet crossed. The train was still coming. And then he understood. Time had looped. The horror had not yet happened. It was always about to happen. He was trapped in the second before. The moment of knowing, of fear, of anticipation, stretching forever. And from the trees, the metal wails began again.